All right, so you're considering a move to the San Francisco Bay Area and you're wondering what the most popular places to live in the San Francisco Bay Area are? Well, in today's video, we're going over that, so you're gonna wanna stay tuned. What's up, everyone? Rachel Capel here, San Francisco Bay Area Realtor in the East Bay. If you want to know all things San Francisco Bay Area related, we got you covered in this channel. If you're relocating, moving within the Bay, we are talking all things about San Francisco Bay Area, what it's like to live, work, play, and have fun here. So definitely subscribe down below. Hit this like button if you're getting value. And a huge shout out to all the people who've been emailing us. We love it. So keep it coming. If you want to know more about the Bay, we got you covered. We want to help you and your family relocate to the Bay Area and learn about how great it is to live here and what the cool things are to do. So stay tuned, subscribe, do all the things. And now let's get into this video. All right, so you're coming over to the San Francisco Bay Area and want a breakdown of what the most popular cities are to live in the Bay. Well, I'm going to break down the counties and I'm going to talk about each county and like where people live and why they like it. I'm going to do a little bit of a map tour and kind of talking so you can kind of get a gist of like where to live in the Bay Area and why these cities are popular and why they are not. So let's get to it. Okay, number one is Marin County. Let's get to the map and I'll take a little bit of a tour and show you why. All right, so let's go over the first county, which is Marin County. Right here you can see we've got Belvedere, Corte Madera, Fairfax, Larkspur, Mill Valley, Novato, Ross, San Anselmo, San Rafael, and Sausalito, Tiburon. All of these encompass the Marin County areas. So if we click over here to the map of San Francisco, you're going to see here, San Francisco's right here, the East Bay is over here. A lot of people like Marin County if you're going to be working in San Francisco because it's a super easy commute to Marin. You can see here the Golden Gate Bridge is right here and you can literally hop on over to San Francisco in a quick commute. You don't have to take, well, there's no BART station over here, so you're not going to have that luxury of having BART like you would here coming from the East Bay. So oftentimes people live in Tiburon, Marin City, Larkspur, this kind of area right here, because what you can do is you can either commute in via the Golden Gate Bridge or you can head to Tiburon and then take the ferry. So the ferry, I think the ferry actually leaves from like right here and then it just takes you directly to Fisherman's Wharf area. So this kind of area right here, I'm sorry, actually I think it's right here. The ferry building's right there, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it'll take you like right here, which is right there at downtown. So yeah, ferry building's right there. See, and Alcatraz is right there. So it would just, you would go from here over to Tiburon, which is right there. So that's why people really like living here. The thing with Marin County is that the properties are going to be pretty high. It's funny because these properties used to be the highest properties back in the day. And now this area is the most expensive. San Mateo County, and Santa Clara, which I'll kind of go into later. It's my number 4 and 5 on the list. So I personally believe that, you know, if you're working in the city, this is probably the best area to be. And the second best, I'll go into next. All right, number 2 is Contra Costa County. Let's go take a look at the map and see why. All right, now on to number 2 is going to be the Contra Costa County area. So Contra Costa, you can see here, Brentwood, Antioch, Clayton, Concord, Danville, El Cerrito, Hercules, Lafayette, Martinez, Moraga, Oakley, Arenda, and Pinole are all the places that consist of Contra Costa County, which is going to be over here. Actually, let me see if I have a map. Yeah, Contra Costa is right over here. And I'll show you on the map here. Now, the reason I have number 2 as one of the most popular places to be in second to Marin area, which is right here, is because oftentimes people are going to be working in San Francisco, potentially maybe Oakland, and also down into the San Jose area. These are kind of the main hubs for where people work, like really big areas. Lots of businesses are here. Lots of businesses are down in the technology like sector of the area. So Silicon Valley is what they call this. So what happens is if you're in the San Francisco area, these towns are going to be really kind of expensive here and kind of impacted and older, not really new communities versus this area, which is kind of newer than Alameda, San Leandro, Hayward, Union City. if you're working in San Francisco. So Contra Costa, the way to kind of put it in just layman's terms, it's like kind of the discounted, if you can call it discounted, the discounted area, like the East Bay is like all these towns on the 680 corridor are going to be more affordable and way nicer than you would get in like San Leandro, Hayward, Union City. And as a Bay Area native, like you wouldn't know this, but I would because I grew up here. I grew up in San Ramon here. So I would always come here and like check out stuff here. And these houses, like I've actually showed clients, like, let me just show you what $800,000 house in San Leandro and Hayward looks like versus an $800 house over here. I would say 9 times out of 10, depending on what they want, just based on the looks of it, they're going to want to be over here because they're just a little bit more rundown. They're impacted cities. It's just a different vibe than over here. You're going to get more country, more space, more just a little bit nicer. I don't know how else to describe it. So these towns are great. You know, if you're commuting and living right here, like sure, you might want to consider this, but if you are okay with a commute, I would say take a look at this area. So number 2 is Contra Costa County. So Walnut Creek, Lafayette, Orinda, Danville, San Ramon, these are all part of Contra Costa County. Pleasant Hill, Concord. So all of these towns are going to be in the Contra Costa area, and they're going to be literally like $100,000 less than these areas, or 50, but they're going to be super nice compared to houses over here. Like I actually remember one of my favorite clients, they wanted to look in San Leandro. They ended up buying in Martinez because they could get a beautiful home with a view overlooking the water, you know, that was pretty new. Didn't need a lot of work, great neighborhood versus the one that was here in San Leandro that was like, you know, 800,000 and in a kind of sketchy area, you know, like where they are now here in Martinez, it's beautiful. Like it's super safe. They have a beautiful view. I mean, they're just in a better place. And the husband commutes to San Francisco for schooling. He's working on being a nurse or anesthesiologist, but it's not really super bad. The commute on the way home is bad, but you have to figure it out. Sometimes you have to sacrifice, right? So I would say the top towns to live in Contra Costa County. I mean, you've got Orinda here. So as you go, a lot of people take the 24 into the city via 80, right? And they love Orinda because it's a real quick kind of jaunt, kind of like Mill Valley over here, like Sausalito and Tiburon, maybe a little bit further. But Orinda, you're going to be paying 1.78 million to like 15 million. So next town is Lafayette. People love Lafayette. These 2 schooling areas, Moraga as well. This whole section is called La Miranda. Excellent schools here. But again, you're going to be paying minimum 1.6 to like $3 million for these homes. And they're going to be beautiful hillside. You can see there's lots of space. So you've got the reservoir, beautiful hillside, gorgeous homes. Whereas here in Berkeley, you're going to be paying 1.5 for a home that's very close to your neighbor. So they're just a little bit more impacted, right? So it's the reason why people love coming out to this area, because you've got like the spacious homes here that are all non-track homes. But then as you creep into Walnut Creek, you've got Broadway Plaza, which is right here. It's the main mall in Walnut Creek. Everybody loves Broadway Plaza because it's very similar to San Francisco, and it's nice. We've had a couple isolated crazy crime activity going on, but it's very isolated, and I think it's kind of a one-off. It's not something that's normal there. Obviously, car break-ins are not uncommon, so you never leave anything in your car in California, not just in Walnut Creek. So that's rule number 1. But you get these great towns like Walnut Creek and Pleasant Hill, which is over here, which is where I am. You've got Concord, and there's some really nice places up in Concord and Lime Ridge open space. So you would take Ignacio, like this road will get kind of impacted with traffic, and you head that way down 24. But there's also BART here, you know, yeah, Lindsay Wildlife. There's so many great places here. Sun Valley Mall's over here by Concord. It's kind of the next mall, you know, versus Broadway Plaza. I actually really like Broadway Plaza more. But as you come down the 680, you've got Danville. And again, these are all going to be excellent schools. Danville, Alamo, and then San Ramon, I believe, is the last town. As you get into Dublin, it goes into Alameda County. So Blackhawk, these are beautiful, beautiful places to live. So a lot of people will take that commute in because it's worth it to be in a safe, beautiful, nice area with spacious homes and room to breathe versus being in Emeryville and Berkeley, where you get off here on 13 or any of these exits and you have homeless everywhere, all over the freeway overpass. And again, Oakland, it's just a different kind of world. People love Berkeley, Albany and El Cerrito are good too, but it's just a different type of home than being in this Contra Costa area, which is why I have it as number 2. Now we'll hit number 3 next. Number 3 is Alameda County. All right, let's take a look at the map and see what is going on in this county. All right, so now on to number 3, which is going to be Alameda County. Alameda County is right here. So we've got Alameda, Albany, Berkeley, Dublin, Emeryville, Fremont, Livermore, Newark, Oakland, Piedmont, Pleasanton, San Leandro, Union City. So let me go over now. So we are talking about this area right here. So Alameda County is number 3 on my list because, like I told you before, you've got San Francisco here, which is the main area where people work, and then you got Silicon Valley. Now, what happens with Silicon Valley? This is a lot of jobs down here. It's very, very expensive. So this area, again, like I said, Alameda is on discount. So these people that live in Livermore, Pleasanton, Dublin, it's a very easy commute to get into San Jose. I mean, a commute being relative, like you're talking 45 minutes to an hour. Now, as people creep up into San Ramon and Danville, I feel like Danville and Alamo are like the kind of the furthest that they can go if they're going to be working in San Jose, okay? Because it's a tougher commute because you got to come all the way here and go all the way down 680 to wherever you're going to be in San Jose. So that's why Pleasanton and Livermore, these places are very, very, even a Mountain House, are very convenient for people working in the Silicon Valley. All right. And it's also more affordable because you're going to have to buy $1 million house that you're going to have to literally tear down to the studs and rebuild in San Jose. But you could get, Pleasanton's pretty expensive. I mean, you can get townhouses that are cheaper, but you could buy $1 million house in Livermore that's absolutely gorgeous. You know what I mean? Like Livermore can be anywhere from like 600 for a single family residence, I think, to upwards of 800 million plus. But you're going to get beautiful space out here. It's a great up and coming city. I haven't done much stuff on Livermore, but it's got a great, cute little downtown. Love Pleasanton. I've always loved Pleasanton. It's a more expensive town, kind of like Lafayette and Orinda. Excellent, excellent schools over here. San Ramon and Dublin have great schooling. Now, Dublin is a little bit of a bigger city. It's more of like an impacted city. Here on the 580, there's like a really great mall over here, but this is going to get busy with traffic, this whole section, because what's happening is people are coming from here and they're heading into the city this way. And then they're also coming in here and going down to Silicon Valley. Now, Fremont, Hayward, Union City, like again, those are towns you're going to want to check out and see if you like the vibe versus over here. You have to depend on what you want as far as your commute and what you're willing to settle for housing. Again, they're going to be more impacted cities. They're going to be closer and closer quarters than you would over here, because it was a long time ago when I was growing up. This whole section was country. It was just country, cows. I lived across the street from a hill where we used to like go ice blocking and push cows over. I mean, it was like, that was what we did for fun. It was like Laurel Ingalls. This area was so close to the city. These were city towns, right? So this is the country over here. So they built it all out and they're continuing to build it out, which they need to because we need more housing. But that is why that's the big difference between this area, Hayward, Fremont, Pleasanton, and all these, this Contra, Costa, and Alameda. So Alameda's over here. It's an island. I kind of talked about that in other videos, but it just is going to depend on where you're working. So talk to us. We're happy to chat with you. But again, that's why people love Alameda too. But to me, it's the third on the list because I feel like more people are wanting to be in this area in Mill Valley because of the location and proximity and the space of housing. Now, this is number 3 because it's closer to San Jose and it's cheaper. All of these towns are going to be cheaper than if you're in the heart of Silicon Valley and San Jose. So now let's get on to number 4. Number 4, San Francisco County. Let's take a look at the map right now. Okay, so now on to number 4, which is San Francisco County. So San Francisco is super small. See, it's right there. So the reason I have San Francisco right here as number 4 is because it is very expensive to live here. The other 2 counties that I'm going to go over after this are even more expensive. So if you can come to San Francisco and move to San Francisco, definitely call us because we can help you. It's going to be expensive here. I find that people, for various reasons, they don't want to live here because maybe number 1, they can't afford it. And number 2, the homeless and the crime and all of the things that have, used to make San Francisco great are now just trashing the city. So a lot of people just have a bad taste in it. So they'd rather just work here and then live out on the outskirts of the Bay Area because they love the Bay Area for all the things to do. Because I mean, look at this. You could literally go to Lake Tahoe right here, the beach 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 right here. You can go down to Santa Barbara, you go down to LA. It's just, there's so many amazing things to do. So I find that if they're working in San Francisco and they can't really afford San Francisco, they'll come to the outskirts of the East Bay and Mill Valley area. So Marin County. If they can live in San Francisco and they want to live in San Francisco, they'll come here. But that is basically the reason why it's number 4 on my list. It's just not, people can't afford to live there. Number 1, a lot of people can't, or number 2, they don't want to because of the challenge with the homeless and the crime. So hopefully one day the governor will fix all the problems, but God can only pray, and we can only, all we can do is wish and pray. So anyways, that is why San Francisco County is my number 4. Number 5 is San Mateo County. Let's go take a look now and see what this map is and what it's all about. Okay, so my number 5 on the list is San Mateo County, which consists of these following towns, basically: Atherton, Belmont, Brisbane, Burlingame, Colma, Daly City, East Palo Alto, Foster City, Half Moon Bay, Hillsborough, Menlo Park, Millbrae, Pacifica, Portola Valley, Redwood City, San Bruno, San Carlos, San Mateo, South San Francisco, and Woodside. So the reason this is number 5 to number 4, which is San Francisco, is because there are a couple of towns sprinkled in here that if you actually say that they're more affordable than the others, you can. This is a very, very, very expensive zip code. San Mateo County, Menlo Park, Hillsborough, Atherton, Belmont, Woodside, these are very expensive areas. So we're talking like Sergey, maybe those over here, who knows? But they're CEOs of major companies, owners, like they live here. Like these are multi-million dollar homes. So that's why it's number 5 on my list here. So San Mateo County is over here. And what often happens is it's a beautiful location because you can basically either work in San Francisco or down in San Jose, Silicon Valley, Palo Alto area. So San Mateo County is a very convenient location to either San Francisco or San Jose. So therefore it is very, 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 very expensive. So the people that live here, if you're in Burlingame is going to be more affordable than, Hillsborough, Menlo Park, even Pacifica's more affordable, but like Pacifica's going to be over here. See, it's pretty quick into the city, but it's just absolutely stunning in this area. Like you can ride your bike and it's just gorgeous. So very desirable location, but very few can afford to have a beautiful home here, so it's very, very expensive here, but that is why it's number 5, but an absolutely gorgeous and very convenient place to live if you're working between these 2 cities, which are the definite hubs for the San Francisco Bay Area. So that's my number 5, San Mateo County. Number 6 is Santa Clara County. Let's take a look at the map now and see what it's all about. Okay, now on to my number 6, which is Santa Clara County. These cities consist of Santa Clara County, Campbell, Cupertino, Gilroy, Los Altos Hills, Los Gatos, Milpitas, Monte Sereno, Morgan Hill, Mountain View, Palo Alto, San Jose, Santa Clara, Saratoga, and Sunnyvale. The reasoning that this area, Santa Clara area, is here, Santa Clara right here, which is Silicon Valley. The reason why this is my number 6 is because unlike San Mateo County, it's not as accessible to San Francisco. So if you're going to be working, or doing stuff in San Francisco, like for work, it's going to be pretty far, and it is only kind of good for people that work in Silicon Valley. So it's also very expensive. So this is probably the most expensive county. Santa Clara rivals it, but I just put it on as a number 6 because the vicinity to San Francisco, it's just not as accessible. But you're going to basically buy, there's multiple funny gifs online about how Silicon Valley, you get like a burnt down house or, a condemned home, and you have to pay $1 million for it because it's just so desirable here and there's not much housing. It's very compacted and you're going to have to, pay to play over here because of the amount of people that live here for the technology. It's just, it is what it is. And that is why it's number 6. It's super expensive and it's actually not as nice as this area because Palo Alto is pretty nice. Don't get me wrong. It's nice, but like Mountain View, Sunnyvale, Santa Clara, you're going to have homes that are closer in proximity to each other, more tract housing versus if you're in this area, especially in the hills and whatnot. Let's see a couple of the cities and Los Gatos Hills, obviously you're going to have more spacious and beautiful homes in Los Gatos as well. But like Campbell, Cupertino, Mountain View, Morgan Hill, it's a little bit further. San Jose, Santa Clara, Saratoga, Sunnyvale, those houses are going to be a little bit closer to each other. But yeah, that is why it's my number 6 because you're kind of over here just in Silicon Valley and you don't have good proximity to San Francisco, it's not as beautiful as San Mateo County, but you will be paying a pretty penny over here, even in comparison to these areas. So there you have it, my number 6, Santa Clara County. All right, so there you have it, the most popular places to live in the San Francisco Bay Area. If you're moving on over here, give us a shout. We got you covered when moving or relocating within the Bay. If you just want to know some areas and information on them, we got you covered. Click the subscribe, hit the likes, and until the next video, thanks for hanging, and we'll see you then. Bye, guys.